Hi, today we're going to do a video about the 14 most loved books off my bookshelves. A lot of these books I recommend to people when they ask me, Steph, what would you recommend to me? I have a little bit of everything here, and it was hard to narrow it down to 14, but I kind of wanted to keep it, February, the month of love, Valentine's Day. And I thought, well, what better way to express my love for my top 14 books? It was difficult. Sometimes people ask me, what is your top book to recommend? And it's so hard. It's like you're asking me what child I would pick as my favorite. We're very blessed. We have two wonderful, wonderful children. They own my heart, each of them for different reasons, and they're both my favorites. So I don't have a favorite child. I don't have a favorite book. So here's my top 14 in honor of Valentine's Day. I thought I have never shared this with you guys, and why not do it now? And these are in no particular order, so just my top 14. This is Walt Disney, The Triumph of the American Imagination. And this book is so important to me because it lets you know anything you could possibly want to know about Walt Disney, from his childhood up through the time that he passed away, and everything that he worked hard to accomplish in his lifetime. And I'm just a big Disney fan. This is such a good book. If you know anyone that likes anything about Disney and wants to learn a little more about Walt Disney, I call him Uncle Walt around the house. This is a wonderful, wonderful book. I truly, truly love this book. And I've read it a few times. It's a chunker, but I have read it several times. Okay, the next book is one that I got recommended by somebody because they know I'm a Disney fan. Now, I picked it up, didn't know anything about it. Okay, so I'm just going to say that out. And we had a golden retriever who sadly passed away due to cancer when she was 6. And she was our first golden retriever, and her name was Tinkerbell, and we called her Bellsy for short. But Tinkerbell is one of my favorite Disney characters, and somebody let me know about this book and said it's about Tinkerbell and Hook. And I thought, okay, you had me at Tinkerbell. So it's called A Worthy Opponent, and Katie Robert. And this is a dark romance is what I would classify it as. I was shocked when I was reading it. These 14 books I think of very often. And this, did it get hot in here? This is a really... have you ever heard of this book? I have several that I haven't read yet, but I did start with the Tink Hook romance. Very dark romance. And so that's a book I think of often. I had to put it with Walt Disney. Okay, the next book that owns my heart is A Man Called Uwe by Frederick Bachman. This is the first Frederick Bachman book I've ever read, and I will always read a book by this author. The thing that sticks out the most to me of why I love it is because Uwe is a older gentleman, and he gets some neighbors that move in. He's kind of grumpy in the beginning. He gets some neighbors with kids that move in next to him, and you just see a relationship form between him and the neighbors and the two little girls. I believe it's two little girls. And you just learn about his life. This book had me cry so much during it. And also, all of these are obviously 5-star books, but to me anyway. But I absolutely love this book. Love it, love it. The next book that I have on this 14 list is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And the thing that stuck out to me about this book was Evelyn Hugo's lifestyle. It was old-time Hollywood, and it was the first Taylor Jenkins Reid book that I ever read. And you just got to read about her life and her relationships. I absolutely loved this book. I loved where it went. I love how it ended. I loved just every chapter. It was a fast read. It's a book I've read a few times, and it just really, really warms my heart, this book. I cannot say enough. I probably honestly recommend this book the most. This is one of my true top books on my bookshelves. Okay, the next book, I love true crime, and I also love this author. She's an author that my mom recommended to me actually right before she passed away. We had this conversation, not knowing that it was going to be one of our last conversations, and she recommended Bitter Harvest to me from Anne Rule. It's true crime, but it also had things that were relevant to the area of where I grew up. So it was a very, very interesting read. But I would have to choose this book by Anne Rule, and it's The Stranger Beside Me, the shocking inside story of the serial killer Ted Bundy. I've only read this once, and I really went through a book slump after I read this. This was very intense, talking about his crimes. And the reason that I chose this book, and I always think about it, is Anne Rule was actual friends with Ted Bundy. They worked together at one time, and they maintained a friendship. It was not just a author that decided to write about Ted Bundy. It was a really, really good book, very dark because of the content. That's a book I definitely recommend if somebody asks me a good true crime book. Okay, the next book is Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. This was a book about Alexis and Daniel. She's a doctor, and she comes from a family of doctors, and she's okay with just being in the ER. And then she meets Daniel, and it also has small town in this and romance. And the reason Abby Jimenez is also one of my favorite authors is she goes a lot deeper than a lot of romance books that I've read. There's always real life things that you could relate to in her books. I really, really love this book. This is obviously one of my tops. Okay, I can't do a top 14 list without my favorite author. So this is The Shining by Stephen King. I love the whole story about The Shining. I'm not going to go into detail about this, but I reread it, and I've reread it several times. But also I did a journey reads on this book, and it was fun because we got to read it and finish it in Stephen King's room at the Stanley Hotel in Colorado. So this will always bring back such great memories for me. And I love the story. When I was younger, the movie used to be one of my favorites, even though I know Stephen King wasn't crazy about the original movie. I love this book. The next book I chose, and I recommend a lot, is I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Anne Reid. This was short. This was to the point. I read this. I've listened to it on audio several times. I've reread it. It's such a fast-paced thriller. Love the characters, and towards the end, in the ending, I was totally blown away. Had no idea that it was going to go there, and I was shocked by the ending. I loved it because the cold weather and the winter and the snow and everything, that is almost like its own character in the book. Really, really love this book. I'm Thinking of Ending Things. Okay, speaking of snow and snowstorms, this book I did a journey reads, I think at the very beginning of the channel, and it's No Exit by Taylor Adams. This is the first book I read by Taylor Adams. A daughter, Darby, is driving home from college, and her mom is dying, and she goes through a snowstorm, a blizzard, so she pulls over at a rest stop, and she meets some people there and comes across some dark things that are occurring. And I'm not going to go into detail a lot with a lot of these books, but if you want to pick up any of these books, this was so good, so good. And I would definitely, you could read this any time of the year, just like all of these books, but to read it during a snowstorm or the winter. It just gives you the extra vibes of what's going on. I love this book. The next book is A Little Life, and I don't want to mispronounce the author's name, but this book has all the feels. It's about a friendship group of, I believe, 4 people, and it's through the years. It's a very dark book, dark subject matter. If you want a book that can really break a person reading, this is the book. I treasure this book. I've never read anything else by this author. I'll just tell you, utterly gripping, wonderfully romantic, and sometimes harrowing. A Little Life kept me reading late into the night, night after night. It follows 4 college classmates broke and adrift only by their friendship and ambition as they move to New York in search of fame and fortune. While their relationships, which are tinged by addiction, success, and pride, deepen over the decades, the men are held together by their devotion to the brilliant Jude, a man scarred by an unspeakable childhood trauma. That's all I'm going to read. This book, it's a lot. It definitely was a lot. Well, I mean, look at the cover. It's just, you really, really feel for the characters in this book. It's a book that will break you. So, but I do love it. I love the writing. I love the characters. I can't say enough good things about this book, but it really, really is a hard book. All right. Now, how could I do a favorite 14 Valentine's edition book without talking about a book about hearts? When I think of February and Valentine's Day, you think of hearts and love and romance and things. And I can't pick a better book than A Jar of Hearts, because my brain is twisted, by Jennifer Hillier. This is such a good book, guys. Let me just give you a little thing. Angela Wong, one of the most popular girls in school, disappeared without a trace. Nobody heard from her again, not her best friend, Georgina, and not Kaiser, who was close with both girls. 14 years later, and I love a time jump, Angela's remains are discovered in the woods near Gio's childhood home. Kaiser, now a detective with Seattle Police Department, finally learns the truth. Angela was a victim of, and I don't want to say the name of this person. So it goes on. What is this individual? A serial killer? What happened? You learn a lot in this book. Some secrets won't stay buried. Riveting characters, chilling details, and gasping twist, a standout thriller. That's Lisa Gardner blurbed that. So I had to include this, and it is actually one of my top 14. And it speaks to you. So if you want to read a book about hearts and at Valentine's Day, Jar of Hearts is no better book than this to pick up at Valentine's Day. A very, very good read. Okay, the next book will be no surprise. He is an autobi author for me, and this is actually the first book I read by him, and it's Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. Okay, the reason that this book stands out to me was because it's kind of a book within a book. The character, Maggie, doesn't believe in bells that ring themselves, record players that turn on and play music to empty rooms, ghosts that climb out of wardrobes. 25 years ago, she and her parents, Evan and Jess, moved into Bainbury Hall, a rambling Victorian estate in the Vermont woods. They spent 20 days there before fleeing in the dead of the night. Her father later recounted in a horror memoir, House of Horrors. So it's a book within a book, and I love that concept. Absolutely love that concept. So I love the color. It's so pretty. I mean, any Riley Sager book, you got me. You got me. But this one is the first one that I picked up, and I truly, truly love. All right, this book was the first book I ever read by this author. It's The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. This I actually read in a book club. If you're familiar with Supernatural, Jen Padalecki, I don't know if she still does it. I haven't done her book club in a while, but she used to, I think she does. She used to recommend a book and then she would have the author on and you could watch her interview the author and talk about the book. And that's where I got the recommendation to read this book. So I read it for one of her book club books. And this, Patricia Campbell's life has never felt smaller. Her husband is a workaholic. Her teenage kids have their own lives. Her senile mother-in-law needs constant care. She's always a step behind on her endless to-do list. The only thing keeping her sane is her book club, a close-knit group of Charleston women united by their love of true crime. You never know who's going to show up to your book club. Okay, so I actually, since I never had read a book by Grady Hendrix, and this was my first book, I continuously buy his books now. But I didn't know that it was going to be kind of as dark as it got. So really, really love this book. Pick it up if you want to pick it up. It's a good one. And my last book that I think about often, and this is a new to me book, just read it the month of January, is The Women by Kristen Hanna. And this was about women can be heroes. When 20-year-old nursing student Frankie hears these words, it's a revelation. Raised in the sun-drenched Southern California and sheltered by her conservative parents, she has always prided herself on doing the right thing. But in 1965, the world is changing, and she suddenly dares to imagine a different future for herself. When her brother ships out to serve in Vietnam, she joins the Army Nurse Corps and follows his path. And when I did my reading wrap-up for January, this was the book spotlight that I nominated, and this book was like this. And I think I mentioned it in that video. It was a complete roller coaster with emotions. Oh, it's gonna, oh no. Just continuous up and downs. Love this book. I love Kristen Hanna as an author. I can't stop thinking about it. I mean, I will reread this again in the near future. I want to read some other books that I haven't read yet by her. The Nightingale and The Great Alone are two I could think of the top of my head. But this I will always recommend to anybody, and this just I can't stop thinking about. And it could be it's only been a month, but I see myself thinking about this a lot in the future. So, but these are the 14 books that I love, that I can't stop thinking about when I think about books and what I would recommend. So with that, I hope you're doing well. I hope you take care of yourself. It's so important, and take care of one another. Love you guys. See you in the next video, and bye-bye. Have a great day.